Hello, this is Dr. Stanley Lang, and welcome to this broadcast. The purpose of this broadcast is to share with you ideas about whole person health, and this little diagram again is to emphasize that whole person means health of body and mind and spirit. And today we're going to focus on the physical aspect of this whole person approach. And I'm going to ask you a question which is going to be a little bit challenging because it's something we don't think about very often. The question is, how do you show mercy to yourself, and how is it connected to your health? In particular, what I'm exploring today is how does this affect chronic stress, and how does it affect the development of a condition called high blood pressure? So I want to emphasize today the connection between this concept of mercy and high blood pressure. So I want to tell you a little bit of story to get you to think about how this might be connected. And imagine that you are in your home. You actually have responsibility for a jail, and there's one person that lives in that jail, and that person, you exclusively get to decide what they eat and how much they get to exercise. Now that person, to no surprise, looks a little bit like you. And in this scenario, you get to bring that person the food every day that that person is going to eat, and whether or not they get to get out of their jail and have an exercise time. Now, imagine if you brought this person every day potato chips, pop to drink, a variety of other kind of bad, non-nutritious foods, and every week this person's gaining like 5 pounds of weight. And you don't ever let them get out to exercise. They're sitting in this little cell, they're not doing anything physical, and they're eating basically really junky stuff that has no nutritional value. Now, that person is likely at some point to cry out for mercy. Please give me some real food. Please let me out so that I can get some exercise. And essentially, we imprison ourselves. We imprison ourselves with the lifestyle choices that we make, and these are either small prisons or they're wide open spaces, but we get to make that choice. And how we approach ourselves is what is usually one that is not in the most healthful way. We often are like the person in this scenario who's bringing the prisoner junky food and no option for exercise. We don't let them out of the room. We don't let them have good food. And that person is literally crying out for mercy to deaf ears. Now, there's a part of us that is like that person that's in the cell. That part of us is deep in the subconscious, but that part of us needs to be tended to. It needs to be loved and taken care of. And so if you can imagine that you have responsibility for bringing this good food, bringing the opportunity for exercise, to get out of the cell, to be able to move around and do some real exercise on a daily basis. Imagine giving yourself these choices on a daily basis. You choose to give yourself these good foods, the best foods possible. That would be an act of mercy compared to this imprisoned state where the person is getting just junk and no opportunity for exercise. And so because we're so close to the situation, we don't see that it is that we are merciless often to ourselves. Now, there are reasons for that we'll get into in later broadcasts, but in a sense, we treat ourselves as if we deserve this kind of merciless treatment. So imagine that you have responsibility for somebody that looks like you. They're in the cell, and what would mercy look like? What would mercy look like in terms of giving the best food? What would mercy look like in giving the best opportunity for exercise? Mercy is this giving of something that isn't deserved. It's just because the person is loved by God, and we are passing through this love of God to the other person. So in a sense, we're letting the love of God touch our own heart. letting the love of God touch your own heart in these acts of mercy to ourselves. It is an act of mercy to yourself to bring yourself the best food every day, not junky food. It's an act of mercy to yourself to let yourself out of your jail and get out to exercise and not be stuck in your little room, whatever your little room is, and to let yourself out and to not only give permission but to encourage yourself to go out and do the exercise. It's an act of mercy. You're doing yourself great good. Now, what does that do to your body? Well, it decreases the effect of chronic stress dramatically. When you're eating right and when you're exercising daily, the effect of chronic stress is diminished dramatically, and that has a very powerful effect on the condition of high blood pressure. So today, I'm trying to draw the connection between diminishing chronic stress and diminishing the effects of blood pressure on your body. And later we'll see how that connection is made when we go into more detail. But the point that I'm making today is that choosing to be merciful to yourself, in other words, stepping out, sort of stepping away from yourself and acting toward yourself in the most loving way possible, is an act of mercy toward yourself that has the fruit of decreasing chronic stress and has multiple physical benefits. And then today I'm just focusing on one of the benefits, is that it lowers your blood pressure, helps to lower your blood pressure into normal range. So I encourage you to see the opportunities you have every day to treat yourself with mercy. Imagine that you are the person that's sort of locked in and you're kind of stuck with whatever this person brings you. And that's what we're doing to ourselves. We're bringing ourselves the food and the activity options. What would you do if you were trying to be merciful to yourself? What would it look like? So I encourage you to think about that and to make the choices of loving yourself, being merciful to yourself, letting the love of God pass through and touch you on the way. I wish you well. Share this with others and have a great day. God bless.